Hi guys, in this video I'm going to focus on creating a layout like this one using CSS. So we're going to be using the layout concept called the flexbox. Looking at this layout, you can see that we've got the main header, then we've got the nav bar over there, and we've got the main content section, and then we have the aside or site navigation. Then at the bottom we have the footer. So we've got the various colors that we have here. I'm going to be actually referring for things like colors and the size of the elements. So let's get started creating this layout. I actually have typed already in my HTML document the boilerplate, the structure of my layout. Okay, so I'm going to go over to the current display that is not styled. This is just plain HTML and I haven't applied any CSS on this one, so we're going to be applying together in this video. This is how our HTML looks like. So let me look at it. The head section, I'm sure you're familiar with it, where I have got my title and I've linked my CSS, which is the external styles file, styles.css file, and I've also have the body here. I'm using Visual Studio Code at the moment, and if you are a complete beginner, I would recommend that you use a more another text editor like Notepad, which does not give you syntax highlighting, IntelliSense, and so on, and suggestions, so that you learn from there. I will be using Visual Studio Code for my stylings. So I already have these typed, as you can see. This is the layout of our web page. So I want to start styling from the body. As you can see, I need to first normalize it, so I'm going to go over to developer tools, right click, then inspect to go to developer tools, or press on the keyboard, press F12 to open this kind of a window, so that when I hover over things I can see what is happening. For example, first of all, I need to remove the margins. As you can see, our body element by default comes with a margin of 8 pixels, as you can see over there. So I need to start by removing that, and then let me go to my navigation. I've got some list elements there. Also, the UL comes with a margin of 16 pixels. I need to remove that so that I normalize and I have complete control of my of what I'm doing. So I will have to remove the margins from the UL. Let me see what else here do I have. Maybe a paragraph. Yes, I do have a paragraph. It also comes with a margin of 16 pixels, as you can see over there. That is my paragraph tag, my p tag. That's the one that comes with this margin, so I need to remove also the margin from the p tag. Inside the header here, let me collapse that again. Inside the header, I'm just going to show you. Inside the header, where's the header? Here is the header. I've got an h3 element. It also comes with a margin of 18.720 pixels. So these are the margins that I'm going to remove. That's where I'm going to start. So let's go there to our CSS. To remove the margin, you need to set it to 0. So I'm going to just use the selectors body, P, UL, and H3. So these are the selectors that I'm going to use to normalize my CSS first of all. So I'm going to assign a margin of 0. As you can see, I just put M0. I get the suggestion of what I want to write, then I just save that one and reload. Okay, as you can see now things are close together. Let me just go to my heading. It no longer has the margin. If I go to my body, it no longer has the margin. As you can see, it's not showing anything there, and we no longer have that orange border that we had earlier. So yeah, that is how you can remove the margin so that you actually have control of what you're doing. Okay, so now let's go back to our CSS. The next thing that I'm going to do, as you can see here, I've changed the element selectors. So if I change the element selectors, which means this style rule, this actually property is going to be actually assigned to all of them. Okay, the same property. If you want to apply the same property to different elements, you just change them like this. Okay, so here I used an element selector, but now I'm going to be using a class selector. As you can see, I want to style my header. Over here I've got the styles, the guidelines of the styles. For example, if I need to, okay, I've removed the margins from the paragraph headings and body. This is what I've just done. And then here I've got the header. This is my header. I need to actually apply a background to it. This is the background color that I want. So let me just copy this color so that I can easily access it. So now I'm going to start here. As you can see, this is my header, this is my class that I've assigned to the header, and the class name is header. So I'm going to use this class name in my CSS file here so that I can actually make changes there. So I'm going to use the header, and then I'm gonna give it a background color of 1A, 1A, 1A. Okay, then I'm going to save this file, then I'm going to reload here. You can see the background color has been applied. Okay, what else do I need to change for my header? I need to change the color of the text. Okay, so the color of the text, I'm going to use a property called, so I'm still in the header, so I have to be in between these two curly braces, this one and this one. So these two places, this is where I'm adding my property of color so that I can change the color of text. Okay, now after that I'm gonna save and reload. What am I reloading? I have to reload on the browser here. Okay, so you can see the color of text has changed. The next thing that I'm going to be adding is actually the height of my header. So it's going to take 20 VH. 20 VH is viewport height. Okay, so I'm going to say height 20 VH. All right, so this is the height of my okay, let me just collapse this one. I'm no longer using it at the moment, and I'm going to just quickly put my browser like that. Okay, so that I can be able to reload easily. So now this is where we are. I have actually created the header. Okay, but now let's look at this. No, not here. Let's look at this one. Okay, this is the header that I was styling. If you can see, from our layout, I need to open the layout. Right, as you can see in the layout, we have got our text in the center here. So this is what I'm going to work on so that we move our text. But before that, we need to change the font size, okay, of our text. All right, so the font size, unfortunately, I did not specify it here, but let me just use a bigger font. I'm gonna use font size of 30. Let me use 30 pixels. Okay, I have to write in full font size of 30 pixels. Then I reload here. Now my text is actually larger. And then the other thing that I need to do now is I've shown you that the text is in the center. So I'm going to first use, for example, if I use text align, center, if I use text align center, it's going to move it to the center. Okay, it's going to be difficult for me to put it to center it vertically. Now it is centered horizontally. I also need to center it vertically. So to center it vertically, I could try and use a property called line height, and I don't know what value to put there, or if I put 30 pixels, just like the size of the text, it's not working. If I put, let me see, 20 VH, that's the lot. Now it has moved it to the center, as you can see. But now to move it to the center, you put the line height to be the size, the height of the container. The container is the header, remember. So the height of the header is 20 VH, as if you may remember here, right? So I said the line height. Line height is the height of my text. Okay, but I'm going to show you another method of doing it. So what we can do now, we're going to use the display property. Let me just reload so that it goes back to where it was, and I'm going to remove also this text align, right, so that it goes there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use display flex. Okay, so if I use display flex, we are not going to see any change. So now I need to center it horizontally. So I'm going to use a property called justify content center. So if I say justify content center, I am actually aligning it to the center horizontally. And then if I say align item center, now I want to center this text vertically. So these are the properties that I can use. So now I've actually made, by using this display flex, I've made my container, which is the header that contains the h3 heading. Remember, this is my container. As you can see, the header and the child of this container is h3, which is the main heading. Okay, so and then this child, it becomes a flex child or a flex element because it's inside a flex box or a flex container. Okay, so my header is the flex box. Now I have styled it so that this text is actually flexible. And then when I resize the window, it's going to actually change its size relative to the size of the window. So now I'm going to go on and style the nav bar. As you can see, this is our nav bar. Our nav bar, let me just make it a little bit larger. Our nav bar here, I used the nav element. If you may remember, the nav element is an element that is called a semantic element. So it's a meaningful element that is recommended to use. I just want to indent here so that we see which parent each child belongs to. Okay, so now I'm going to look at the nav bar. It starts from there where it says nav and is closed over there. So now I'm going to be styling this so that we get what we have here. This is the layout. We can see that the nav items are in the center. Okay, the list items or the links are in the center, and they are like that. So we're going to just follow that. Okay, now at the moment they have got the bullets, they have got underlined, and they have a color that we are not working with. So the reason for these bullets is because we used an unordered list, or so this is an unordered list, and it puts bullets by default. So we're going to remove them using a property called, so remember, we have got a class for our list. First of all, this class is called nav list. So I'm going to start there and have my class in my CSS called the nav list, and then I'm going to have the list style property. Then I'm going to assign the value none. This is going to actually remove our bullets. Let's just reload over there. Now you see the bullets are gone. And the other thing, we need to remove the underline. No, we don't need to remove the underline. We can remove the color of this text. We can change it. So what causes it to be blue? It is because we used what is called an anchor tag here. This is an anchor tag, right? The A tag is the one that gives it the blue color, and the underline, and it causes the hair, the pointer, the arrow to become the pointer, to become a hand. Okay, so by default this happens. So we need to only change the color of the text in our anchor. What is the name of the class that we gave to our anchor? Is navlink. Okay, so I'm going to use the navlink now. Navlink, and then I'm going to say color. I'll go to my document where I have my colors. Let's see, where is my navlink? This is my navlink. It is using this color, so I'm going to take this color, right, and put it here. Then I save, then I reload. So now the color has changed. I am not worried about the underline, but I can remove the underline if I have to, using a property called text decoration. Then I give it a value of 9. Then now we have got the color that we want, and we have got the everything that we need there. So what we need to do now is to make these ones align like these ones, to be in line, okay, to stand next to each other. Okay, this is the next thing that we are going to do. Okay, we could use something called display inline. If I use something called display inline, they should actually display inline. No, but they're not. Okay, I'm supposed to use it inside the list items, not here. Let's see, because the list item is the one that causes them to align the way they are. So there's I have this class called nav item, where I'm going to add this one to try to align these ones in line. I have done that. Okay, but now the property is about flexbox. The tutorial is about the flexbox, so we're going to use a flexbox, okay, for this. So we don't need that. Okay, so now in the nav list, remember, the nav list is a class that we assigned to the UL element. If you look at this code, you can see that the UL is opened here and is closed here, which means it is a parent of all these nav items that we want to align as inline, not as block. At the moment they are block elements, but we need them to be side by side. Okay, so remember, with flexbox, you make the parent a flex container. Okay, if you make the parent a flex container, the children are going to be made to align next to each other. Okay, so let's go back to our CSS. I'm going to make the nav list, this one, the nav list. I'm going to make it a what? A flex container, or a flex box. Okay, so I'm going to use display flex. All right, so if I use display flex here, it's going to align my list items next to each other, okay, like this. But if you look at what we have here in our layout, they have a gap in between. Okay, so this is what we are going to be working on. Okay, so now we are going to give them a space in between of about 16 pixels. So I'm going to use a gap of 16 pixels. Okay, so this gap is a property of a flex container, just as these two. They can only work when you have this display flex in your box or in your container. So you have to make sure that in order for these to work, you need to have display flex. If you don't have display flex, for example, let me quickly remove this one. You are going to see that the layout changes, because even though I have justified center and align item center here, my heading is no longer in the center. But because I had removed display flex, if I remove this, I return to display flex, they begin to work. So you have to understand that these properties, you can only use them if you have a display flex, and this gap you can also use them if you have a display flex. This gap is actually a shorthand for something called, there is a gap, a row gap. For example, at the moment we have got a row, we have got actually columns, 1 2 3 4 columns, so we want to put a gap in between them. Okay, so now we are going to have something called a column gap. Okay, so if we have a column gap, this is actually what was chosen, that is why we don't see a change. All right, but if let's say we had we didn't have them inline like what they are, for example, let me just make them block. So to make them block, you can say flex direction and select column. They are going to change the direction. Are we together? And now column gap is not going to work if we are doing this if they are actually arranged in this way. It works when they are inline. So if you want to add a gap for elements that are actually arranged in this way, you use what is called a row gap. Okay, row gap. Then you see now the gap is actually being applied. So but we chose to use gap only, and we'll remove the flex direction there. We use gap only so that it actually minimizes the size of our code. Are we together? Now let's continue. Now the other thing that we need to do, we need to add a background color to our nav. Right, we need to add a background color to our nav, since nav is actually a parent of all these ones, so we're going to add on top of it. Okay, so let's go to our HTML so that we see what we're doing. This is the nav that we want to style at the moment. You see it opened here and it closed here, so it's a parent of all the ULs, right? Of the UL, it only has one child, the UL. Okay, so now this is the nav. This is the one that you want to change the background color. We go to our document. What color do we need for the nav bar? This is the background color. It has got 6666. So since it is the same value, I'm going to use only 3 values there. Right, so let's go there. Let's go to our background color. I'm going to say BGC. It's going to actually give me the background color, and I just have 3 6s. I'll be fine. So it's going to give me a grayish color. So let's see if it has been applied. It has been applied, and the other thing that we need to add is the height. The height, I think, is 10 viewport height. So I'm going to just say height 10 VH. Then I will get what I need, and then there we are. Now we're faced with the same situation of, I want to find out why do I have this gap here. That's what I want to find out. So I'm going to go to developer tools, because I don't understand why I should have that gap. Okay, I want to actually debug it. So I'm going to go to my nav, right? Inside my nav, I'm going to go to UL, right? And click there. If I go to computed there, I can see that I've got a padding that comes by default with my my list, my UL, okay, because it's the one that I selected here. So it has a padding as well of 40 pixels. So I need to also remove it. Okay, let me just add this removal here. I'm going to add the padding of 0 there, so that I remove this padding which is causing my item to have a gap there. You see now it has moved far to the left. All right, so now let's continue. So now we know that we need to put it at the center. What properties do we use? I'm going to give you only a second to actually tell me the properties that I need to add in order for these elements to display at the center. And where am I going to add it? Okay, 1 second is over. If you guessed that we need to add a display flex to our nav and center everything, so we can add a display flex here, right? And then we have to say justify content center, then we have to say align item center, right? Let's see if it's going to work. Now it's working. So we have aligned item center. We are still using these. You are going to use these ones a lot if you are going to be working with Flexbox, so you need to understand and master them. Are we together? Now we have got something that looks exactly like what we have over there and over there. So I think we are done with the nav bar. Now let's continue to style the other elements. Now we have got this main section. We have got this one here. Where is our main section? Right, we have got our main section here, and we also have our aside. All right, as you can see here, I've got a container here that I've given a class of content wrapper. Okay, so this class here is actually what we're going to use and make a flex box. So this div is the one that is going to be a flex box, and it's going to have these two elements or these two children, okay, the main and aside. So we are going to add display flex to this container, and then if we add display flex, it's actually going to align these two side by side. At the moment they are actually block level elements. As you can see, most containers are block level elements. You can see we have got the main here, main content, main section. Then here we have the sidebar. Okay, so they are actually sitting underneath each other because they are block elements. They need to be changed to become inline elements. So now to make them become inline elements, we are going to use the flex box. So we are going to use a flex display on the, so this is the class for our flex container. Then I'm going to use display flex. Okay, once I use display flex and reload, you will notice that they are actually sitting side by side. Okay, they are sitting side by side. Okay, let me see what has created this gap. Okay, so I'm just going to go to developer tools again. This is how you're going to be working. If you see something that is an anomaly, you have to check. Actually there is no gap. Okay, as you can see that it starts there. I wasn't expecting a gap, that's why I wanted to check, but now it seems no. Maybe there is something that causing it to be like that. Maybe it's because my screen is actually minimized, but now there is no gap. Anyway, let's continue. And then where are we? Okay, now we need to actually style something. So let me just come and style our main. We've got a main section and we gave it a class of main, and then we need to find out what color it is from our document. What color is it? Then we have a color of background, this one. Let's take it and use it. So BGC is short for background color. Then I paste my color there. Okay, I just copy and paste so that I don't have a lot of typing errors. Then I reload. Now you can see that I have got a color for my main element. Let's look at the height. What is the height according to this? The width was going to be 80% and the height is going to be 60 VH. Okay, so let's add the width property and give it 80%, not 800 but 80, right? And then because now it was taking only 50% because we had not, so it shared with the other one with this sidebar, but now it is actually extended by 80%. And then the other thing that we need to have is the height 60 VH, right? And then we'll reload. Now it has taken the height of 60 VH and everything looks fine. And then we have we actually see that from our design here, it is at the center. The text is centered vertically and horizontally. The same grid that we have, we're going to apply the display flex here. And then after applying the display flex, we'll justify content center, then we align item center, then we're fine. So this one aligns it horizontally, and align item center aligns it vertically. So we reload, oh, we're reloading the wrong one. We reload, we have got our stuff there. It is at the center now, okay? And then here, we are now going to be styling the sidebar. The sidebar is actually going to be having the same styles as the main. So the sidebar is a class of aside, and then from there, we have got a background. Let's check what background is our sidebar. The sidebar now has got this background color. We copy it, and then we come here, then we say BGC, we give it a background color and save, then we reload. Now there is our color. And then the next thing, we are going to make it a flex box so that we can actually deal with its containers, its contents there. Okay, so we say display flex 1, and then we say justify content center, and then we say align item center. So now we are there, right? And then we'll reload. Now we have got our aside next to our main content. We move on. We're now going to the footer. Let's first check the background color for our footer and the size. The background color is going to be this one, 2E, 2E, 2E. Okay, and then the color, the text color is going to be this one. Then we've got 10 VH for height. Okay, so we'll come back and pick up the color of the text. So now we're styling the footer. Our footer, so we give it a background color. This is the background color. Let's reload before we do anything else. As you can see, then we can give it a color. And what color we're going to give to our footer? We're going to give it this color. We're going to give it this color. This is the color for our footer. Color refers to the text color, okay, as you can see. And then the next thing, we're going to give it a height of 10 VH, right? Then we now have our height. Still, we need to put this stuff, the text, at the center here. So we do the same thing. We make it a flex container by using display flex, and we use justify content center, then we use align item center. So now we have got the flex box, we have got the flex layout that we have created, as you can see over there. Okay, so this is the end of this video, the end of our tutorial. Thank you for watching. Please, I would like to request you to subscribe to this channel, share, comment, and like this video so that I can quickly monetize my channel and benefit from the hard work that I'm putting into it. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good day or a good night or a good morning.